Ruth 3. On Valentine's Day, a 17-year-old girl from Suceava, Romania, took her own life. 17 years old. An age when life seems to be just beginning. An age when the future lies just ahead of you. You're just beginning, and yet someone so young comes to believe that there's no longer any reason to go on. Why? Investigators said that she left a note. The reason she mentioned was devastating. Loneliness. She felt alone even on Valentine's Day. Beyond the specific circumstances of this tragedy, one truth remains that we cannot ignore. Human beings have a fundamental need for relationships. We need love and to be loved. We need to know and be known. We need people beside whom we do not need to pretend in front of. A sociological study tried to answer a simple question: what truly fulfills a person? Not money, not profession, not health, not even family, when there is no family that makes presence be felt. The researchers identified as one essential item: quality relationships. The mere presence of people does not fulfill us. You can live in a full house and still be profoundly lonely. You can have hundreds of contacts and still have no one to whom you can open up your heart to. You can be married and still have no trust, security, or closeness between you. And that is why this sermon will try to answer several very practical questions. With whom could you be compatible with in marriage? With whom are you well matched on the path with ministry? With whom are you capable in the work God is doing in His plan of redemption? With whom should you walk along the road of life? The book of Ruth does not give us only one beautiful story. It shows us how God brings together people who share the same faith, the same character, and the same place in His plan of redemption. Now, it's a risky plan. If we return to the biblical narrative, we find Naomi at a moment when she is beginning to see hope again. Naomi discovers that Boaz is a close relative and that he has the right of redemption. Then she puts a plan into motion. The plan is unusual. It is bold. It is risky. Naomi tells Ruth to wash, put on perfume, and dress well. She tells her to go to the threshing floor, but not to make herself known before Boaz has finished eating and drinking. Then, when Boaz lies down, Ruth must notice where he lies, go there, uncover his feet, and lay down at his feet. The plan is pushed almost to the limits of what is possible. For a woman to go alone to the threshing floor at night was extremely risky. Ruth was not only a widow, she was poor. She was a foreigner, and she was a Moabite. Her reputation could be destroyed in a single night. Her physical safety could be endangered. Her entire future could depend on Boaz's reaction. Moreover, the threshing floor did not always have a good reputation in the ancient world. In Hosea 9 verse 1, it says, "Do not rejoice, Israel. Do not celebrate like the nations, because you have been unfaithful, forsaking the Lord, because you have loved an immoral payment on every threshing floor of grain." In certain contexts, threshing floors have become places associated with occult prostitution and immorality. At night, men stayed there to guard the grain. Sometimes prostitutes came to offer their services. That is why all the elements of the scene create powerful tension. Ruth goes to the threshing floor. She goes at night. She approaches a sleeping man. She uncovers his feet. She lies down beside him. In biblical language, words such as feet, to uncover, to know, to lie down, can sometimes carry sexual connotations. The reader follows the scene while holding his breath. You almost want to shout, "Ruth, no! Don't do this. Don't destroy your reputation. Don't lose sight of everything in a single night." The narrative intentionally creates this tension. Yet the text does not present Ruth as a woman trying to seduce Boaz. There is attraction, there is vulnerability, there is physical closeness. But what happens between Ruth and Boaz that night is not a sexual affair. It is a request for covenant, a request for protection. It is a marriage proposal. In that world, placing yourself at someone's feet could express submission, loyalty, and willingness to come under that person's authority. Through her gesture, Ruth says to Boaz, I entrust myself to you. I will be loyal to you. I place myself under your protection. But Ruth does not offer Boaz only submission. She also asks something from him. She asks him to give her exactly what he had said God would give her. In chapter 2, Boaz had told her, may the Lord repay what you have done, and may your reward be complete from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. Now Ruth uses the same image, the expression, spread the corners of your garment over me, is connected to the image of protective wings. Ruth is, in effect, saying, Boaz, you spoke to me about the wings of God. Now be the instrument through whom God spreads his wings over me. Redeem me, protect me, take me as your wife. I will be submissive and loyal to you. Boaz had the right of redemption. Therefore, there was a real possibility of marriage. The plan was risky, but the idea of spreading a garment over a woman as a symbol of covenant was not a foreign thing to the Israelite culture. Ezekiel 16 verse 8 says, when I passed by you, I looked at you and saw that your time had come, the time for love. Then I spread the corner of my garment over you, covered your nakedness, swore faithfulness to you, and entered into covenant with you, says the Lord God, and you became mine. The image expresses more than attraction. It expresses protection. It expresses belonging. It expresses faithfulness. It expresses covenant. Ruth is not asking Boaz for one night, not a one-night stand. She is asking him for a lifetime. She is asking him not for pleasure. She is not asking to propose a secret relationship or an affair. No, she is asking him for a public covenant. How does Boaz respond to this request? Does he reject her? Does he accuse her? Does he take advantage of her vulnerability? No. Boaz sees Ruth's character. He understands that Ruth did not choose relationships according to material criteria or superficial attraction. She did not say, I will choose him if he has money. She did not say, I will choose him only if he is young. She did not say, I will choose him only if he looks a certain way. Age passes. The beauty of youth changes. Money can come and go. Boaz tells her very clearly, Ruth, you have not built your choices on material or physical values. Ruth chapter 3 verse 10 says, and he said, referring to Boaz, may you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. This last act of kindness is greater than the first, because you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. Boaz sees faithfulness in her choice. Ruth could have pursued a younger man. She could have looked for a rich man who had no responsibility toward Elimelech's family. But she chose the path of redemption. She chose a man who was part of God's plan. She chose a man of character. She chose a man who could protect without exploiting. She chose a man who could lead without dominating. She chose a man who knew God. Ruth 3 verse 11 then says, now, my daughter, do not be afraid. I will do for you everything you ask. For the whole town knows that you are a woman of noble character. The expression used for a woman of noble character is eshet hayil. It can be translated as a worthy woman or a woman of character, a virtuous woman, strong woman, a noble woman. The whole town knew Ruth's character. Her character was not an impression created in a single day. It was a reputation built through repeated choices. People had seen how she stayed with Naomi. They had seen how she worked. They had seen her humility. They had seen her loyalty. They had seen her purity. They had seen her faith. True character does not remain hidden. In our Bibles, the book of Ruth appears after the book of Judges. In the order of the books in the Hebrew Bible, Ruth is found in another section. Yet the literary and thematic connection between the worthy woman of Proverbs 31 and Ruth is evident. The book of Proverbs ends with the question, who can find a woman of noble character? Proverbs 31, 10 through 31. The expression is the same. Eshet hayil. Proverbs 31, 10 through 31 says, who can find a woman of noble character? She is far worth more than precious jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he lacks no gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. She obtains wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like a merchant ship. She brings her food from far away. She rises while it is still night, provides food for her household, and assigns the day's work to her servant girls. She considers a field and buys it. From the fruit of her labor, she plants a vineyard. She clothes herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She sees that her work is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her fingers hold the spindle. She reaches out her hand to the poor and extends her arms to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, because all her household is clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gates, where he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and she supplies belts to the merchants. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs at the days to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise and call her blessed. Her husband also rises and praises her, saying, many women have lived with noble character, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord will be praised. Give her the fruit of her labor, and let her works praise her at the city gates. She is trustworthy. That is what a worthy woman looks like. The heart of her husband trusts in her, says Proverbs. Her husband does not live in constant tension. He does not wonder every day whether she will betray him, despise him, or undermine his leadership. He can say, I can rely on her. Trust does not mean that the woman has no personality. It does not mean that she does not express her opinion. It does not mean that she does not point out a mistake. It means that she does not work against her husband. She does not undermine his authority. She does not expose his weakness to gain sympathy from others. She does not turn him into an adversary. She is his ally. She rises early. She is diligent. She works. She plans. She manages. She does not eat the bread of idleness. Her diligence is not directionless busyness. It is work directed toward the good of her household and the good of the people who depend on her. She is good. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. You do not see malice in her. She does not use her words to wound. She does not emotionally punish her husband. She does not constantly create conflict. She does not turn every dissatisfaction into an explosion, but she is gentle not malicious. She is firm, not cruel. She speaks the truth, but does not use it as a weapon. Her goodness does not appear only on good days. The text says all the days of her life. She is a good steward. She manages the household and its resources. She is economical, but not stingy. She does not sacrifice people for money. She does not refuse every form of generosity merely so she can say that she saved money. But neither does she waste money under the excuse that we have enough anyways. A truly economical woman does not need to advertise it. She does not constantly say, I am the economical one and you are the wasteful ones. She manages wisely. She saves without humiliating. She plans without controlling obsessively. She gives without wasting. She controls her speech. Proverbs says she opens her mouth with wisdom. She does not let her mouth run ahead of her. She does not say everything she feels at the very moment she feels it. She measures her words. She understands that truth spoken without love can destroy. She understands that some words can never be taken back. She speaks with wisdom. She speaks at the right time, and she speaks in the right way. She brings honor to her husband. The worthy woman brings her husband honor as she strengthens his reputation. She strengthens his authority. As Proverbs says, her husband is respected at the city gates. The city gates were the place where important decisions were made. Community matters were judged there, and elders and leaders gathered. The wife's conduct can strengthen or weaken her husband's testimony in the community. A wife of character does not idolize her husband, but neither does she belittle him before others. She does not treat him like a child. She does not mock him publicly. She does not destroy his credibility. Through her character, she strengthens his ministry and his testimony. Now, a worthy man and a worthy woman. As Ruth chapter 3, verse 11 says, Now, my daughter, do not be afraid. I will do for you everything you ask, for the whole town knows that you are an Eshet Hayil. Ruth is a worthy woman, but Boaz is described in the same way. Ruth 2 verse 1 says, Naomi had a relative on her husband's side. He was a man of wealth and standing from the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. The Hebrew expression used for Boaz is Gibor Hahil. Boaz is a Gibor Hahil. Ruth is an Eshet Hahil. He is a worthy man. She is a worthy woman. He is a man of strength and character. She is a woman of strength and character. He is trustworthy. She is trustworthy. He protects. She entrusts herself to his protection. He leads responsibly. She responds with loyalty. The two are well matched in character. God brought them together through unusual circumstances. Naomi's plan played a role. Ruth's action played a role. Boaz's decision played a role. But beyond all of these stood the providence of God. Naomi was seeking rest for Ruth. She was seeking security. She was seeking protection. She was seeking a home in which Ruth could have a future. Her plan worked, but Naomi's ingenuity alone did not bring them together. It was God who brought them together. Why? Because both of them were part of his plan of redemption. And because both of them were people of character, God did not unite them only for their personal happiness. He united them for something greater than themselves. Obed would be born into this family. Jesse would be born from Obed. David would be born from Jesse. And Jesus Christ would come from the line of David. Their marriage became part of the history of redemption. Their relationship did not end with them. Their faithfulness went on to bless generations. In conclusion, compatibility in Christian marriages is determined by spiritual criteria. Therefore, make sure that the person you marry is within the Lord's plan of redemption. In other words, make sure that person is in Christ. It is not enough to like the same things. Physical attraction is not enough. Having the same hobbies is not enough. Coming from a good family is not enough. Having money is not enough. Your faith must be shared. Your direction must be shared. Your values must correspond. Your character must be formed by God. Boaz and Ruth were not well matched merely because they liked each other. They were well matched because they were both hahil. Both had character, both had faith, both were integrated into God's plan of redemption. A mature relationship is characterized by protection and submission. Boaz offers Ruth protection. Ruth offers Boaz loyalty and submission. A man's protection does not mean control. It does not mean possessiveness. It does not mean aggression. It does not mean that the woman has no voice. Protection means taking responsibility for her good. It means not taking advantage of her vulnerability. It means defending her dignity. It means creating safety. It means being ready to pay the cost of love. A woman's submission does not mean inferiority. It does not mean the loss of personality. It does not mean accepting sin or abuse. It means voluntary loyalty within a safe, holy, and responsible covenant. God brings people together to fulfill his plan. Naomi, Ruth, and Boaz are very different people. Naomi is a wounded woman. Ruth is a converted foreigner. Boaz is a mature and stable man. God brings them together. Each one has a role. Each one contributes. Each one becomes part of the same work. Every effective team needs two things: a common purpose and noble character. Their common purpose is the plan of redemption. The noble character is the hagil kind of character. It is not enough to be talented. It is not enough to be available. It is not enough to have resources. It is not enough to have influence. If we do not have a common purpose, we will be pulled in all different sorts of directions. If we do not have character, we will wound each other. God does not call us merely to find people with whom we feel comfortable. He calls us to find people alongside with whom we can fulfill our plan that he has for us. Therefore, the question is not, do I like this person? The question is this person in Christ? Does this person have character? Can we move in the same direction? Can we serve together? Can we build something that goes beyond our lives? Quality relationships are not built on attraction alone. They are built on truth, on character, on faith, on loyalty, on protection, and on common purpose. God brought both Ruth and Boaz together because they were a part of his plan and because both were worthy people. A gibor hagil and an eshet hagil. A woman of character and a man of character. Two lives placed in the hands of God. Two people brought together for a plan greater than themselves. And through their union, God continued to write the history of redemption.